Good evening. This is Maestro Critello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Angel Gate. Our first player is Floid, playing as the Plague Champion. This is a Chaos ranged hero to start out. He can switch out to melee weapons later on. He has a lot of healing support. He can heal himself with Mucus Discharge. His Heretic Worship heals. He can also repair vehicles. That's like even more healing because he's healing the vehicle. He can also build turrets. Next up, we've got Ace of Swords playing as the Warlock. The Warlock is an Eldar melee hero, more of a light melee hero to start out, and then you can invest in him to make him a tanky melee hero, or you can choose to make him more of a diverse spellcaster. Next up, we've got Final Push playing as the Techmarine. This is a Space Marine ranged hero. Starts out that way. You can get an axe later on, but he's more about his guns, whereas the Plague Champion actually probably is more about his melee weapons. Techmarine can also support armies with relay beacons and turrets, and he can support vehicles with repairs. On the other team, we've got someone who's not being targeted properly. We've got Farbror Barbro. I believe this is actually Myrdal, playing as the Commissar Lord. The Commissar Lord is a slightly tanky melee hero for the Imperial Guard. He has huge balls. He also has a free energy shield, and he can execute his troops to make them fight harder. Next up, we've got Noisy playing as the Eldar Warboss, the Orc Warboss. I feel like Noisy's been playing Warboss a lot lately. Big tanky melee hero. Can be knocked down and suppressed, but still pretty tough. Very, very aggressive, has a lot of staying power, and has some great buffs like User Choppers and Hard Boys. And then finally, we've got another Plague Champion. Hey people, Indrid here. And he's got a Death Guard Plague Champion. Looks like Indrid's in the bottom lane. He's actually managed to take out Final Push's Techmarine in retreat. Although, looks like an easy revive for Ace of Swords, so that should give Ace of Swords a lot of experience. Might even level him to 2. No, it gets you like something like 75% experience towards the next level. And then the Warlock actually goes charging into the Techmarine. That actually works out really, really well. Techmarine might go down in retreat, but probably not. That's pretty nice because it means he's no longer getting the benefits of the cover once he gets knocked down and he gets knocked out of cover. Meanwhile, Warlock himself actually now slightly at risk, getting chased down by some Heretics in retreat, but Heretics now taking too much damage. They are going to try to melee these scouts. They actually will get into melee with these scouts. The other scout squad moving a little too close and actually gets suppressed as well. And these double scouts not going to do well at all against the combination of the Noise Marines as well as the Chaos Space Marines. Meanwhile, we've got some guardsmen being very aggressive. Barbro, I'm just going to say Myrdal, actually has flamers on one of his guardsmen, so he does manage to destroy that power farm very, very quickly. And he'll probably keep the other two without flamers, and just so later on he can maybe give them plasma guns, or even just keep them without an upgraded weapon so that they can have full range. Since, of course, the flamers will effectively reduce the range of the guardsmen, since whenever you give them an attack order, they need to close to the range of the flamers, even though the las guns have longer range. Chaos Space Marines approaching in the middle. We've got Floid with both Heretic variations. He's got one squad of melee Heretics, one squad of grenade launcher Heretics. And we have a multi-laser turret on top from Farbror, from Myrdal, to hold the top. Currently he is holding the top. Grenades going in. One grenade barrage did something like 33% damage against the Guardsman squad just with the way they were bunched up. Meanwhile, we've got Guardsmen trying to burn the Warlock alive, and he actually recycles or scuttles that multi-laser turret to get some of the resources back. Pretty much just gave it up. Although I feel like that might have been unnecessary. Oh my god, grenades right there. Oh my god, that was something like... I think that was about 15 Guardsman models got hit by that one grenade and got killed. Pretty amazing. Although, that Aura of Discipline from the Commissar Lord has been doing pretty well to keep those Guardsmen alive with heals. Aura of Discipline periodically heals squads around the Commissar. It even works on allied squads, like not just the Guardsman squads around the Commissar, but like if Noisy's around with his Shooter Boys, the Shooter Boys will actually get healed by that Aura of Discipline. Meanwhile, Final Push is running around with double snipers, which could be very, very powerful against Indrid. Indrid actually running around in the middle, kind of gave up trying to fight the bottom, and the bottom now belongs to the red team, or rather the blue team. So the blue team is going to have the better power income. Blue team with actually not that much more, only plus 56 to plus 49 of the red team. So that's actually not that big of a deal. Meanwhile, I wonder if this Warboss can take out the heretics in retreat. Pretty close. He used his stomp. He's got the Bang Bang Hammer, which is a pretty powerful weapon upgrade. The Bang Bang Hammer does 75 DPS melee, even though my tooltip says power melee. That has since been changed back in the Elite mod. It does melee damage again, but it's still a fantastic weapon. The Warboss attacks very slowly with it, which means he does a lot of damage per swing. And he's very, very good at sniping models with that Bang Bang Hammer. He has the spiking armor, but he's actually switching to the cyborg implants very curiously. This is actually one situation where I would say the Warboss would probably, if anything, be better off with the spiking armor because he would just get more staying power. And I don't see what he plans to disrupt, what he really needs the big stomp for. But we'll see, anyway. Raptors jumping in to double snipers, and they just get out of there. Since both of them would have been suppressed by the Raptor jump right there. Meanwhile, we have a Guardian weapon team inside the building. Can potentially get... there's definitely some anti-garrison that could take on the Guardian weapon team. Ooh, we got a Techmarine with Bionics. You never see that first powerful sweep. That's what the ability is called, powerful sweep. You hardly ever see that first one coming because the Techmarine is a melee hero, or the Techmarine is a ranged hero. And when he doesn't have Bionics, jumping him is actually a good idea. Jumping him or attacking him in melee is actually a good idea. And then suddenly, once he has Bionics, it becomes a terrible idea. We've got an Immolate going down on top of the Heretic worship, so Heretic's unworship for Indrid is moving out of there. Grenade goes in on the Blastmaster, or no, on the Noise Marines. And alright, I guess just what Noisy is planning to do, he just wants that bigger stomp, because he knocked over a ton of stuff with that stomp. And this is actually now looking like a good engagement for the red team. And they scare off most of the blue team. Actually, a lot of it with the Warboss charging in. And I mean, that's part of what he does. He charges in, he's aggressive. And then it's often not just the Warboss by himself. It's the Warboss charging in and taking up the attention of so many different units. And then all of the supporting units, if anything, they're the units that actually do the real damage, like the Shooter Boys. In this case, the Allied armies pretty much doing all the damage while the Warboss like just kind of charging in and disrupting and tying things up. Although the Warboss with the Bang Bang Hammer, now he actually does do a ton of damage. So you know what, actually I am liking that big stomp. He did some pretty nice things with that big stomp. Slugger Boys chasing after the Techmarine. They might go down in retreat trying to do that. Although actually I don't think so. Anyway, something's getting very close. One squad of Chaos Space Marines down to one model with 39 hit points now. Howling Banshees actually managed to finish off Indrid's squad of Chaos Space Marines. So he lost the squad of Chaos Space Marine with that very, very persistent Howling Banshee in retreat. Ooh, and there goes another Immolate. Immolate doing some very, very nice damage to the Guardian. So Immolate, definitely one of the main reasons to get the Immolator Blade is if you actually have some guardsmen to deal with. Like against the Imperial Guard, this is actually pretty much the best weapon choice for the Warlock. Since it's really, generally the Warlock won't be able to get into range with guardsmen too much, and this just gives him an area of effect spell that can do some pretty good damage to guardsmen. So Indrid has returned to the bottom, and he actually, at this point, the blue team actually was getting more of a power income because they did have some extra generators right here. Techmarine actually forcing melee with the Noise Marines because the Noise Marines will of course silence the Techmarine and prevent him from shooting. Techmarine right here, he did disrupt these Raptors with Powerful Sweep, but once that's on cooldown, there's actually not that much more he can do, but now he does have the Axe of the Mechanicum. That being said, he's running out of health, but he actually does scare off Indrid stuff, in part because he had a Dreadnought on the way. He had the cavalry. Anyway, Wraithlord now out for Ace of Swords. No weapon upgrade yet. might just want to keep it around without a weapon upgrade until he sees what he might need more. I'm starting to like those big stomps. It's just not, I don't even know if it's actually that much better, but it's knocking things far away, and it looks cool. Anyway, Chaos Shrine of Myrdal for Floid. Definitely going to be able to give the blue team a lot of staying power up here, because they can reinforce as well as heal off of that Chaos Shrine. Very, very good for holding a point. Anyway, Wraithlord does get hit by a Melt-A-Bomb from the Melt-A Stormtroopers. Melt-A Stormtroopers actually in a ton of trouble right now. Lost 2 out of 3 models from Howling Banshees getting into range with them. The Commissar Lord just might go down in retreat right here. We're going to have some disruption from artillery spotters. So Yarrick actually has some artillery spotters. They have a very interesting new portrait, which has them, they kind of have like a hood, or maybe like a hoodie, and they've got like some infrared goggles or whatever, or maybe just, not goggles, but like binoculars or some stuff. Anyway, Wraithlord in right here, actually tying up the Plague Marines, tying up the unit that can actually damage the Wraithlord. And we have a bunker right next to a bunker. Of course, one is a map bunker, the other one is a global bunker called down by Farbror, Barbro, or Myrdal. You can kind of tell the difference. There's a slight difference in color. Anyway, Havoc for Floid prevents the approach by the Warboss, also suppresses the Guardsman. Now the combination of that and the Chaos Dreadnought does do a lot of damage. Dreadnought now needs to back off though, because it is getting shot by tank busters. And Floid actually now being forced off a little bit, about to get doubled, I think, by Myrdal as well as Noisy. So Ace of Swords at least is supporting with his Wraithlord. I think he should actually turn and engage the Commissar Lord with the Wraithlord, because the Wraithlord will win that fight. Meanwhile, we do have an Autarch call-in right on top of some squads, especially the Shooter Boys as well as the Tank Busters. Is this going to be a Manticore strike? No, that was just a Commissar Flare. You know what, we also have a, let's see, is this a Plasma Cannon? This is a Blastmaster Noise Marine for Indrid inside that building. Meanwhile, the Warboss is trying to take on the Wraithlord. But oh no, this is now not looking so good. That Slugger Boy pretty lucky to get out of there. And oh, we've got triple walkers out of the blue team. We've got the Chaos Dreadnought, the Wraithlord, as well as the Space Marine Dreadnought, now with an assault cannon, giving it some very, very long range. Meanwhile, this Blastmaster Noise Marine now in a ton of trouble. It had some Immolate for some anti-garrison, and it's about to have to get out right in front of some Howling Banshees. Probably a dead Noise Marine squad, to be honest. What is Indrid going to do here? He actually uses Touch of Myrdal to save the squad. What a nice play, considering that was pretty much the only thing that was going to save the squad at that point. Knocked over the Howling Banshees that were trying to kill it in retreat. Anyway, Dreadnought here with not too much health, but it has tied up the Plague Marines, which is actually pretty nice, and it does force off the Plague Marines. One model left on that squad of Plague Marines. But wow, it actually looks like the Raptors might finish off the Dreadnought. Really, really close call. The Raptors finish off the Dreadnought. They do now have a heavy melee power fist, and ooh, we've got final push with 3 snipers. So I think he was hoping to try to keep the Dreadnought alive there. And I mean, the Raptors, of course, Dreadnoughts now, well, that was a ranged Dreadnought, so it did not have melee resist. And Raptors now have a heavy melee power fist. So they actually do some very light anti-vehicle damage. Not that much. Howling Banshees down in retreat for Ace of Swords. Unfortunately, they really retreated just through a nightmare of stuff. A squad of Storm Boys, a squad of Slugger Boys, a Commissar Lord, as well as a Warboss. All told, that's at least 500 DPS of some kind of melee damage, if not more than that. And Havocs go down for Floid from these Storm Boys. Storm Boys and melee in general doing pretty well. But this entrenched position with the Chaos Shrine of Myrdal is still very, very powerful. We do have I feel like this. Oh, the Storm Boys, I thought they were in trouble, but they actually got supported by a Call to Boys from the Warboss, reinforcing the Storm Boys from an otherwise very, very dangerous jump. All sorts of things are going on right now. We've got Tank Buster shots going in. We've got at least 2 Tank Buster squads right now, as well as a dead Dreadnought. Somehow finished off the Dreadnought. just I think with that aggressive Stormboy play as well as this aggressive Warboss play, Stormboys actually paid for it with their lives though, so Stormboys do not get out of there alive. They did manage to take out that Dreadnought, but then they didn't make it out of there alive. Warboss, meanwhile, will he make it out of there alive? 27 hit points. Hard Boy's active, and here is the Dreadnought from Indrid. He does have a Death Guard Dreadnought, so it does have that big belly filled with disease and stuff and pus and whatever else they're supposed to have in there. Yeah, Dreadnought from Indrid, and actually the blue team just got hit pretty hard, lost 2 of their Dreadnoughts. Floyd also losing a Havoc, so they're not looking quite as strong, and Ace of Swords kept his Walker alive, but he did lose Howling Banshees. And Noisy's saying, Bleed Boys is now Dead Boys, and he's of course referring to the Storm Boys. But it does look like the red team lost some stuff too. Farbror, Myrdal actually lost 2 of his guardsman squads, including the Flamer guardsman squad, although that's not such a big loss. If anything, if he had lost the Flamer guardsman squad and then kept the other 2 alive, that actually wouldn't be bad at all. Myrdal, meanwhile, going to tier 3. Already got a lot of requisition in the bank, although he's going to need a bit more power to really get something nice out of tier 3 aside from cash coins. Like, if you want to get one of the tier 3 vehicles, he's going to need a bit more power, especially if he wants a Baneblade. Floyd, meanwhile, has a Land Raider Phobos cooking, while Ace of Swords is getting Seer Council, I guess as a replacement for his Howling Banshees. VPs nearly evened out, 285 to 280. Real VPs in the lead for the blue team, but red team with the double cap, so soon they will have the lead in VPs. Frenzied Barrage goes in, seems to stop short because it only shot 1 missile. I'm guessing he shot and then realized he was shooting at nothing and then stopped shooting. Anyway, grenade goes in on some of those things. But I don't know what that grenade... I guess that grenade was attempting to try to get some of those heroes that were going for the revive. Indrid has a level 3 Plague Champion that only has the Mucus Discharge upgrade, which is pretty curious. What does Floyd have on his Plague Champion? He has the Plague Fist, he's getting the Armor of Pestilence, and he will probably get a Warrior in that accessory slot. Meanwhile, a lot of stuff is now starting to happen on top. The Warboss does do his big stomp, and now he charges in. He is going to bleed those Dire Avenger models very, very quickly. He does get knocked over by a friendly Manticore Strike, but he's not going to care too much about that. And if anything, we got a Warboss retreat, which I feel like may be premature, or he was going to get stunned by the Plague Champion. Anyway, I think Myrdal is going to have to back up. He's got the Manticore, and the Wraith Lord, and the Wraith Lord now has a Shuriken Cannon, so it's right now a Bright Lance would have been better for trying to take out that Manticore, and Wraith Lord now in a bit of trouble. It's a tier 2 unit. What is Ace of Swords doing with this Warlock? The Warlock does have Providence, so he is invulnerable at the moment, but he's probably going to die soon because once that ability wears off, he will have pretty much no health. He uses a Warp Throw. Soon, I think he's going to need to get the Warboss out of here. Does do another Ethereal Slash. Is he going to wipe out the Manticore with some Seer Council? That is very, very real and very, very possible. And he loses the Warlock very unnecessarily, but takes out the Manticore with Seer Council. Very, very well done. Meanwhile, I missed it, but... oh wait, no, I didn't miss it. Wraith Lord's still alive, and it's over here. Meanwhile, where did the looted tank go? The looted tank went down. I missed the looted tank go down. Oh, he drove right into a Phobos, and I feel like the Phobos is... there have definitely been some talks about the Phobos. Some people believe the Phobos is underpowered, or just at least not as good as it could be or should be. I personally disagree with that. I think the Phobos is... I think it's fine as it is. One of the things that's, I think, really good about the Phobos is that I think it's very, very good against regular tanks. And by regular tanks, I mean things like the Predator, the looted tank. Predator and looted tank. Less so the Lehman Russ, because the Lehman Russ does have damage resistance. Wow! A Rocket Barrage just went in on the Phobos. Pretty much all of it hit, and it took the Phobos all the way down to about half health. But yeah, the Phobos... Autark is definitely going to go down in retreat right here. Not a chance. But yeah, the Phobos, the thing with the Phobos is that its las cannons, if it shoots both of its las cannons at the same time, it does something like 300 damage within one shot. Technically 2 shots, but just the burst of damage is roughly 300, if not more than that. So it can roughly take out half the health of a Predator or looted tank when both of these las cannons fire once. So you really have to be very careful with a regular tank around a Land Raider Phobos. Maybe a fully upgraded Space Marine Predator with both extra armor and las cannons of their own would actually be good against the Land Raider Phobos with proper micro. But I feel like the looted tank, I would say, is not really good against the Phobos. Chaos Predators, I think, don't really have enough health. Anyway, Raptors now leading the charge, going right for the Wraithlord. They jump into a terrible situation. Raptors, I would not be surprised if they go down in retreat. They absolutely go down in retreat, jumping into too much stuff. But here is an Eldritch Storm. Could that finish off the Chaos Dreadnought for Indrid? Because this Dreadnought is now completely snared, but there are too many tank busters that are about to bust a Wraithlord. They totally bust the Wraithlord. Do not manage to finish off the Chaos Dreadnought. Just too many tank busters. Well, and by too many, I literally meant the number too many. So VP's pretty even again at 208 to 222, with the Venerable Dreadnought now getting busted by tank busters. Land Raider Phobos still alive and kind of just hanging back. Although Land Raider Phobos doesn't really provide quite as much in terms of support as the other Land Raiders. Anyway, the Guardian Weapon team does get hit by an artillery shell, the incendiary shell actually. And here goes some tank. Oh my god! And well, Floyd not really moving whenever he gets like approached by those tank busters. And I mean, tank busters they definitely are squishy. So they have to be very careful, and they are already pretty much losing models. Oh no! Here is some Melta Stormtroopers. They managed to... Oh, but the Stormtroopers actually get stunned by that Dirgecaster. Dirgecaster, I also feel, is a very powerful ability, given the range that it has, and especially against units... very good against Terminators because it's a stun, and a huge radial stun. I love to use that word radially. It makes me feel so smart when I talk about things. Knob's about to walk into some Seer Council. Actually, they stop before they ever get that close. Knob's pop Frenzy, start going after the Venerable Dreadnought, but the Venerable does knock them over with the Fist of the Emperor or the Emperor's Fist, whichever one it really is. We have Rocket Barrages going in on the Chaos Shrine of Myrdal. Actually takes out most of its hit points, and we have a Imperial Abyss. To be honest, not very well placed at all, and actually, for the most part, doesn't hit it. But there is the Rocket Run! That was much more well placed. That took out the Chaos Shrine of Myrdal, took out at least one Heretic squad. And, well, the other one's still alive, though. Anyway, and here we have a Chaos Shrine of Myrdal from Indrid. Meanwhile, we do also have a Predator out for Floyd, and he's actually going for a Mark of Nurgle Predator. Mark of Nurgle Predator, you do now see it a little bit more in the Elite mod than back in the retail. Still probably the least common Chaos Predator variant. It does increase the Chaos Predator's health, gives it health regeneration, melee resistance, and it also gets... So those are kind of like... It makes it actually very tanky, much tankier than a regular Predator. Probably the tankiest tank that's not a super unit. And then it gets more of like an anti-infantry cannon. Still does some AV damage, but less than even a vanilla Predator. And it more just does some like area of effect damage over time against infantry. There goes some rockets. Tanks are busting tanks. They are going to bust the biggest tank of all. They are really going in hard for this Land Raider Phobos. Land Raider Phobos moving back, and Farbror, Barbro, Myrdal is about to lose a bunch of Stormtroopers. He had one Stormtrooper. Alright, well, I thought that Stormtrooper was just about to get out of there with one hit point, but it does not make it out of there. And all of these, certainly all of these orcs are in full retreat, now up against the Seer Council. Meanwhile, we actually have 3 squads of tank busters. And we also have a Librarian from Final Push. One of the things that has changed about the Librarian is that the Force Barrier ability was much improved. Before, once you started it, you needed to channel it. And if a unit managed to get behind the Librarian, they could pretty much wipe him because there was nothing he could do. Now you can just do it, fire and forget. Wow, the Chaos Predator is actually in a huge amount of trouble and actually goes down. Well, standing in front of a little too much anti-vehicle fire, we had the Chaos Dreadnought, a level 2 Zinch Dreadnought, which does a ton of AV damage. One of the best, to be honest, a very fantastic source of AV. Certainly, probably one of the best in terms of, probably one of the best sources of AV in terms of range DPS. There was also some Plague Marines as well as some Chaos Terminators. Chaos Terminators trying to chase down the Land Raider Phobos, but the Land Raider Phobos getting repaired by the Heretics, and I think also being repaired by the global repair from the Techmarine, the Blessing of the Omnissiah. Meanwhile, this Fire Prism is in a bit of a bad position, but this Chaos Dreadnought in an even worse position and is undoubtedly going to go down. It does. Meanwhile, Terminators from Indrid also overextended. Now he's going to try to get those out of there alive. I don't think he's going to get those out of there alive, though. They're being chased down by Seer Council as well as a Techmarine. And the Terminators go down for Indrid as well. So Indrid, meanwhile, has 2 squads of Plague Marines. And, oh my god, what is Noisy doing? Noisy now has 5 squads of Tank Busters. He really wants to bust this Land Raider Phobos, which has been around and alive for a while, and it's had some close calls, but it's still alive. VP is now actually significantly in favor of the red team when the blue team, when the VPs were actually even for most of the game. So only 37 VPs to 222 for the red team. So blue team needs to take the VPs back a little bit hard when they're getting shot at by Manticores. But it looks like Noisy's going to lose one of his tank busters right there. They just got busted. And we have Plague Marines on the point. Plague Marines not a bad choice for late game capping because they can tank damage. They might actually survive Manticore strikes and then be able to stay out on the field. And it's now getting to be a pretty close call. The Warboss trying to stop these attacks from capping, especially if he can get a special attack off or use a stomp. He might be able to just knock them off the point. Instead, the attack's actually gets disrupted by a friendly Fire Prism, and this Warboss is still just staying here, doing a ton of damage, bleeding attack models. It's hurting so much. And we've got some sneaky Stormtroopers, I think, trying to finish off the Phobos. Where is the Phobos? Phobos is actually right here. Oh no, Phobos is about to get targeted by 4 squads of Tank Busters. Still 4 squads of Tank Busters. When are they going to shoot that Rocket Barrage? So much damage. So much anti-vehicle damage. Here are the Tank Busters. And the Phobos is still alive. VP's still in favor of the red team significantly. 20 to 222. Blue team needs to just get something on a point, and they need to somehow get the artillery spotters off the point if they want to stay in this game. Or this will probably be it, unless they can put something on the point. We do have some Seer Council going for the back cap. Close call, not much time left, and I mean at this point, they really need to get on the VP, and we even have a push from some Chaos Space Marines right here. Chaos Space Marines need to go. They've taken so much damage, and the blue team manages to even it out with only 2 VPs left. And at this point, they pretty much can't afford to let, they literally, not pretty much, they literally can't afford to let the red team ever have the double cap ever again. They also can't let the red team have like a single cap. Instead, it's the blue team just with a 1-0 cap. Terminators called down for Floid. I think it's a good time to call down Terminators, and at the right place, since he should be able to force melee, get these artillery spotters off, since they will just do way too much damage in melee. My god, we just had an ethereal slash and retreat. I think killed a bunch of guardsmen. We've now got 2 Manticores. Maybe Ace of Swords can do what he did before and actually try to chase down those Manticores with some Seer Council. Seer Council, they do power melee damage, but they do so much damage that they will actually do very, very well against the Manticore. And especially, he could potentially even lose, if he really needs to, he can always use swift movement, although I think that's probably not even really necessary. Maybe just to get into the Manticore. Anyway, still, blue team holding on with only 2 VPs. The Commissar is trying to go in there, but there's just too much stuff shooting at him. And I think with the combination of the Tarantula turret as well as the Fire Prism... Oh, but Fire Prism is gone! No reaction from Ace of Swords. and he loses his Fire Prism. I was going to say, the combination of the Techmarine turret and the Fire Prism should pretty much make it impossible for the red team to actually capture this VP. But now Fire Prism is out of the equation. Tarantula turret is still here, and we actually have the Plague Marines going after the turret. Grenades. Ace of Swords needs to toss a grenade on these Plague Marines so that they will not finish off the turret. Unfortunately, he doesn't see it. He just has his Dire Avengers shooting at the Plague Champion, and the turret actually goes down. So much for that locking down the natural VP, and Indrid was actually trying to go for a decap on the blue team's natural, but could not get it. So blue team holding on to their natural, getting the top VP. They're still only at 2 VPs to 134. So red team, also very importantly, needs to get their natural back to at least even it out, because they're going to bleed VPs much faster if they don't have their natural against the blue team's double cap. Manticore Strikes going in, going after this new Land Raider from Final Push. Now we also have a Land Raider Phobos, as well as the we've got the Land Raider Redeemer as well as the Land Raider Phobos. The Land Raider Phobos has been pretty well managed. The Land Raider Phobos has had a very, very long lifespan. And we've still got 5 squads of Tank Busters from Noisy. 5 squads of Tank Busters. He really wants to bust those tanks. And wait, Knobs charging in. I feel like there are plenty of things that could slow down the Knobs, though. Here goes some Tank Buster barrages on top of that Land Raider Phobos. Land Raider Phobos is driving forward to dodge the barrages, but it's driving right into the tank fire, the Tank Buster fire. It does use the Dirge Caster to stun all of those things, but it finally goes down. The Land Raider Phobos finally goes down. There is another force barrier to prevent any of these things from capturing that point. Still a 1-to-1 cap with the blue team managing to not give up this top VP. More Manticore Strikes go in, so the Land Raider Phobos is dead after being alive for so long and doing so well. There goes a lot of Tank Busters. Tank Busters are now getting busted. They got busted by the Warlock. They got busted by the Avatar. We had a Wailing Doom as well as a Ethereal Slash. And they're trying to go for this point. We've got some dueling Plague Champions. Floyd's with the Icon of Nurgle Armor, Pestilence, and the Plague Fist. Indrid's, well, I think he had the same War Gears, except in the accessory slot, I think he still had the Mucus Discharge. Anyway, might see a Wailing Doom. No, we are going to see a Imperial Abyss. Imperial Abyss probably going to wipe out the Heretics, does wipe out the Heretics, but leaves the Plague Champion alive. Probably would have been better to do it right on top of the VP, to deny the VP, get the Plague Champion off of there, because really, outside of those center rings, the Imperial Abyss is actually very, very weak. It's really only the very center that's actually very good. And it looks like, let's see, we've got the Warlock now chasing after Stormtroopers. Librarian moving in, as well as the Techmarine. I think Librarian just needs to be a little careful not to get overwhelmed in melee, otherwise he will be very, very powerful against most of these units. Techmarine does throw an Orb of the Omnicide, takes out a little more than half the Manticore's health, but nothing to follow it up with. He could actually follow up with his own damage from the Power Axe, although I think the Melt Gun would be a little better in that respect. And VP's blue team actually on the verge of taking this. They still only have 2 VPs, but they've got the double cap, and it actually is not looking like red team can take it. Manticore Strike going in, mostly hitting nothing now. We've got some of the buildings are nearly destroyed. One just a few hits away from destruction. But red team is now seemingly screwed. It doesn't seem like they can get anywhere near either of the VPs. After having a lead of, they had 200 VPs while the blue team only had 2 left. And I think they're just fighting it out, but at this point, it actually looks like the blue team is taking this. And, you know, I gotta say, definitely potentially the MVP here, or at least really the game-winning play, pretty much, was actually the back cap or decap by Ace of Swords Seer Council right here. That pretty much pretty much if he had not done that, they would have lost this game. So that kept them in the game, and they actually ended up winning. So I would give the MVP to Ace of Swords, mostly just for that one play. Anyway, pretty crazy game. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.